This week on the podcast, we show the length and ask the big question, are games too long? We also discuss being caught in between games and life getting in the way of gaming. And on this week's Pixel Picks Showdown, it's all about the big boys as we name the best 100 plus hour game. All this and more on the Pixel Parents podcast. Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Pixel Parents podcast, a show that discusses all things gaming from the perspective of parents. I am your host Liam Kirk-Kelvin, and today I'm of course joined by the bearded one, Scott, the tastemaker. Curry, how are we, Scott?
I'm very well. I'm almost deaf because I turned my microphone up too high when you were saying that intro, and I swear it literally almost burst my eardrums. But
so it's about the projection.
Oh my god, it was killing me inside. Shout out to Roberta Flack, R.I.P. Killing me softly with his intro.
Indeed.
Killing me softly. I'm alright. Rubbing my balls with his fingers.
For God's sake. It's a family show.
I can't help it. But no, I'm okay. I've had a decent day at work.
Mm-hmm.
The back pain is still here to stay, so I just think it's just going to be a part of my personality now, which is fun.
Okay.
And yeah, I've had a weird week, which I'm excited to get into. So
okay.
I'll let that sort of digest for a bit. But how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I think this is already a minute 30 and the most chaotic opening we've had to a podcast, and I'm a little bit apprehensive as to what's ahead of us just now. This is going to be fun. Yeah, do you know what? It's listen. They say moving house is one of the most stressful things you can do, and it is not the most stressful part of my life just now. So I should be thankful for that at least. And to come back to the point I was making, it's nearly been 2 minutes. You've nearly knocked your microphone over, so this is going to be a good one. I'm feeling something in the air, and that is chaos energy just now. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about games. It's a topic I've been wanting us to talk about for a while. There's been some stuff happening out there in the industry that's worth touching upon. And yeah, an interesting week. But I mean, I'm what, 2 weeks away?
2 weeks away from moving gaff.
From freedom. Mm-hmm. That's going to be good. Can't wait.
It's going to be strange having to drive through
where I am.
Where you are.
Yeah.
Aye.
You don't want to give these scamsters my location. They're sitting there just waiting.
I'm going to give them your address when we move.
All two of them.
Come and firebomb the place.
Jesus Christ.
I'm kidding.
Okay, before things get out of control, let's get some housekeeping out the road before we get started. So, of course, for those listening, this is the Pixel Parents podcast, the weekly podcast by parents who game. For those who do the same, where each week we discuss all things gaming while raising little ones. Now, if you want to be part of the podcast, come say hello and share your thoughts with us at pixelparents.bsky.social on Blue Sky, or write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. If you like what you hear and you want to support the show, you can leave a 5-star review and share this podcast online with your friends. Of course, that helps us out. And of course, thank you to everyone that joins us each and every week. With that out of the way, Scott, what have you been playing this week?
It's been a bit of a strange week. I can't remember if last week I had started playing Avowed and I started talking about Avowed.
You did.
And I played it for a little bit longer, but I've fallen off that game hard.
Oh dear.
I can't remember if in Cyberpunk, can you see the hands that often?
In Cyberpunk?
Yeah. Like, is that at the forefront of the screen as you're playing it?
Not unless you're holding a weapon.
Uh-huh.
But don't forget, this is probably a bit more Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, I get that, and I think that's what's putting me off it. Like, seeing somebody holding like a weird wand in a book, I'm like, this is fucking annoying as fuck. I don't really like the moving around and stuff like that. It feels like my character is too close. Like I don't know how that works out in a first person game, but it's like everything's too.
I get you.
Everything's too in my face, which I don't enjoy. I'd like to have a bit of arm and not just hands. Do you know what I mean? It's a strange.
What would solve that if they had like a field of view setting? They might do. I've not checked it out. But.
I've not checked it myself, but I've tried it. You know, I went through the first camp, upgraded all my stuff, and then I ran about the first area, and I was just like, I can't be arsed anymore. So I fell off that, and then I kind of went down a similar path to last week where I had a night drunk playing Stardew Valley all over again, which, honest to God, I'm not going to say any more about it because it's just the best game ever, but continuing to play that with the wee one, And then it was just one of those weeks where I wasn't really sure what to play. It was kind of like, do I want to play this? Do I want to continue back on the Grand Theft Auto journey? Do I want to play something completely different? And I kind of toed and froed, tried a couple of things, tried to play Resident Evil 4, couldn't be bothered getting in the mood for it. Tried to play a couple of things on PlayStation Plus, couldn't be arsed. And then I just thought, do you know what I'll do? I'll just jump back into Grand Theft Auto 5 and just fall back into the routine of working my way through it. And yeah, I've forgotten that when I first played Grand Theft Auto 5, I fucking hated Trevor. I hated him. He just felt like a pure pastiche of Grand Theft Auto. It was like you have Michael and Franklin there that they seem to kind of be more fleshed out characters, whereas Trevor just felt like typical Grand Theft Auto character.
Yeah.
But as I'm playing it again, I'm sort of appreciating the kind of humour from him, because some of the stuff that he says and some of the stuff that some of the situations that you find him in when you switch characters are hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I switched character to him today, and he was just driving on the middle of like the motorway with like a like one of those wee mopeds, just following behind someone, saying like we're moped pals or something like that. It was just like, this is the stupidest thing on earth. But I've just been working my way through that, and you know, it's Grand Theft Auto 5. You know, everyone knows what it is and how it works. It's just that soundtrack for that bloody game. It's that's the best part of it. I'm telling you.
So underrated, really is.
And it's not. You can be listening to Pure Shores by All Saints on one channel, and then you know, Mississippi Queen by Mountains on the other channel. So you switch it, and you're like, oh, I'll listen to that. But then you switch it to the Bootsy Collins one, and it's like,
oh yes, my favourite,
Do It Roger by Zapp, and you're like, there's just too many things to listen to.
Yeah.
So then you spend most of your time just driving about, which is great. And especially with the PlayStation 5 version, because it's fucking gorgeous as well. Like, it looks so good. I've just been taking, I wish there was a photo mode in it, but I've just been taking random sort of screenshots of like flying about, you know, San Andreas and kind of Mount Chiliad and all that. So I've been making my way through that. So Trevor's now met Michael again, and we're now going to see where that takes us. And
yes,
you know, I'm enjoying my time with it again. Like it was hard to kind of fall off the wagon, but I'm glad to be back on now and
excellent,
ready to pull that platinum out my arse somewhere.
Good luck with that one.
A big platinum trophy.
Even just, I've said it before, going for the 100% stats in the game in the single player is well worth it. It's you just get to see every nook and cranny, and by the end of it, the sense of place that you have, the world they've built, it's weird because you could see a film or a TV show with Los Angeles in it, and you feel like you've been there. It's like you've spent so much time.
That's kind of how it's felt with the rest of them, to be honest with you. But playing, you know, 3 Vice City and San Andreas to 100%, it's like I've got to experience things in those games that I've never seen before.
Yeah,
didn't do it with 4 because no, but like even in 5, like I met Patrick McCreary or something like that, you know, the guy from 4.
Oh yeah,
him.
Yes.
Didn't want to say his
I don't like
his
that
game name. But I met him just randomly in 5. It's like I didn't know he was here.
Yep.
Like I actually didn't realise they were all here. Like it's weird. It's so weird, some of the stuff that you find in this game. So it's just been really interesting playing it again with that perspective of actually remembering the story and all the kind of everything that happened in 4 and everything as well. So yeah, I'm enjoying my time with it, but I'll have an announcement for next week. I'll leave that lingering. I have an announcement, a big announcement for next week
in relation to a game you're playing.
In relation to a game.
Okay.
Full stop.
I'm excited.
I've not told you about this yet.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you till next week. Because
boo.
That's where the fun lies. This is the hook. This is the cliffhanger. This is Martin dying in EastEnders.
For God's sake.
Sorry if you're all EastEnders fans out there, but this is the cliffhanger.
Right,
where you have to come back next week and understand what I'm talking about.
This is either going to pull people in or push them away. So let's see what happens.
Just come on in, join the gravitational pull.
Oh man, that's a pretty straightforward week for you though.
It's been nice. Like sometimes you need those weeks where you don't really do much. And
yeah,
I swear to God, I've with this pain in my back, I've been going to my bed. Like I've been falling asleep on the couch at like 7:30, waking up at 9 o'clock, and then I can't sleep at night. So I just play Stardew Valley till 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
and I'm just working through all the seasons. It's like finishing winter in like 2 days, just like powering through it. It's ridiculous.
pure comfort gaming.
Oh man, I just fucking love it. It's disgusting sitting there listening to music and stuff, and then that night we're drinking. I was just like, had 2 beers, and I was like, yeah, this is what it's all about. And then there was half a bottle of wine down in the fridge, and I was like, I might as well then.
Why
might
not?
as well go
Why
for
not?
it. Go for it. You've earned it.
I'm only farming.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's interesting you mentioned that. Before I kind of dive into my week, I suppose, well, I'll start it that way is, yeah, life, we've spoke about it so many times in the podcast, life does find a way to interrupt your best laid plans for gaming, whether it is a sore back or the kids or whatever. Naturally, right now, I mean, Christ, everything's in disarray because the downstairs...
We're recording this podcast on the floor.
Yes. Well, the downstairs is very different to the upstairs. It's very bare upstairs, and it's starting to hit home.
Is it?
Yeah. It's like starting to like look like we did the kids' rooms and all that, and they were great about it. It's like, right, we need to keep a box of toys out, and or not even that, just like a small selection. The rest we need to put in the box, and you'll get them once we're in the new place. And they were like, yeah, no bother. It's like, cool. So we've done all that. Naturally, at night time, it's just like things are really intense. Obviously, with things happening in the workplace and here. So at night time, I'm just wanting to just sit, play games, and Avowed's been top of my list. But in terms of life getting in the way, so they say, the reality of reality TV gets in the way sometimes. Unfortunately for me, Maths Australia started back up again.
Maths? Mathematics Australia.
Yep. Married at first sight for the acquainted, for the unfortunately acquainted. So my wife is hooked on that. And she's been watching the new series. Naturally, because of just, there might be a wee intervention with a fire stick. Maybe not, that's all I'll say. But she's been watching the new series and that. And it's just been totally like railroading my plans, because I'm sitting there like, yeah, beauty, I'll play Avowed, because usually she'll read, I'll do that. And even at that now, like tonight's the exception, and she's relieved because she just doesn't want to waste the whole night doing that. And I'm like, me neither. So I've kind of been playing Avowed in dribs and drabs. I had a wee bit of time with it yesterday again and a few days ago, but over the weekend it's too busy. But I have to say, I'm still enjoying it more as I go. I can totally appreciate why you've fallen off as well. It's just scratching that Western RPG fantasy itch that I've had. That's
it's
really
a game for people who love that sort of thing. Like,
yeah.
It's totally full of the care and attention that you'd imagine from any Obsidian game. And the characters are, from what I played, sort of fairly well fleshed out, and the world is the world. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
I mean, it looks good. It's not as living and breathing as a Bethesda world, as much as we give them crap for it. Like, once you kill enemies in an area, they're dead. They're coming back. So it feels very much like, you knock the pins down and that's it. There's a couple of slight polishing issues the more I'm playing it that's coming up, but it's nothing game breaking or worth complaining about. It's things like the character models and dialogue scenes are like in a lower frame rate.
God, I hate,
which is weird.
I hate this. See this dialogue face where like the camera kind of turns and it's just like they're facing you in that way. It just feels so unnatural and like really hard to watch. It's like playing any Bethesda game. It's like you get into a conversation with someone in Starfield and you're like, oh my God, it's so off-putting.
There's something just slightly uncanny valley about the whole thing, but and I've had the odd moment where I get stuck in scenery for a moment, but then I can still manage to escape. It's not like I've had to restart the game. It's clearly still what I said last week. It's something that wants you to take your time with it.
Yeah, no, of course.
I'm like dual wielding these wands and absolutely blasting people, but I have like a backup axe and shield. Still loving that. Just loving it. It's just a real treat to kind of get lost in. But what I'm finding interestingly is coming back to the original point. So I'm sitting there, the kids are in bed, and I'm enduring Married at First Sight Australia. And I thought, well, I have my saviour here, the PlayStation Portal. Open it up. There's nothing on PlayStation I want to play just now. Like, everything I'm wanting to play is on my Xbox. And I'm like, God damn, it's taken 5 years, but it's happened. Like, I am thoroughly enjoying my time with the Xbox. And I want to hold my Xbox controller. I want to play my Xbox more. The PlayStation, I say this is a PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm like, God damn, like, I feel like I really need a big game to play my PlayStation again. Naturally, there may be one round the corner, Scott. Well, I'll be more than happy for her to sit and play reality TV. I'll put on the headphones. I'll sit with the Portal in the corner. Happy as Larry. But it has been a hectic week.
This is where we call for the Xbox handheld.
It is.
And is it not? Is it not been something, because everything's an Xbox now? So have you not been tempted to try and play something on like your phone or your laptop or something?
Well, I mean, I was having a sandwich the other day and I tried to play it on that and it didn't quite work. I don't know if it was a connectivity issue or something, but yeah, there's things like the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, all that stuff that's out there. I was skeeting about it earlier this week and I would do unspeakable things for an Xbox handheld. I think for us two and our listeners, it's like a tailor-made market that the family gamer is a growing but niche kind of audience that you want to try and target. And, multiple screens in one household, I think it's better to have it handheld because there's something less dominating in terms of a room about it. If it's one thing playing it in a television with in a shared space, it's very much like you're in my space. But if you've got it handheld, it's nice. And with Xbox, I'm like, damn. Like, I could go and get a Steam Deck or something, but I don't want to. I want something dead easy.
Yeah, something that's just made for it.
I don't want to be faffing about with this, like,
that's the
random OSs and stuff.
That's the part
like,
that turns me off. It is the whole having to like fart about with the settings and all that. It's like I just want to pick it up and play it. I've not got the brain energy for all this nonsense.
Same.
And like you listen to some podcasts and they're talking about how they've had to boost the frame rate by farting about with all these different settings and stuff, and it's like you might honestly as well be talking fucking Japanese to me because it makes zero sense.
100%, yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I just want it to be like the PlayStation Portal. I turn it on, yep, I'm locked to that ecosystem, but I turn it on, it does what it needs to do, and I'm away.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And I think if you did have a Steam Deck, you would know what you were doing with a Steam Deck. Like, you're not buying a Steam Deck and being like, this is my first ever console. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you work your way up to that point, but you're totally right. It's
the other thing as well, I have to admit though, Scott, when I look at the Steam Deck, that thing's either going to accelerate arthritis or it's going to give me the pain simulation of it. There's something about the button placement on it. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Plus, the unbearable thing is you then have to tell everyone that you own a Steam Deck and that you love Steam Deck. It's like, you sign out, you must sign something in the contract when you buy one. It's like you have to tell everyone that's ever asked you about anything to do with Steam Decks that you love Steam Decks.
It's a bit like when I watched The Wire. I had to tell everybody.
You have to tell everyone. There's a guy that pops up on my Blue Sky every so often, and he gives me the only reason I would ever want to buy one because I see him playing a retro game every other day, and he has lists of these games from like Super Nintendo, PlayStation, and stuff like that. It's like even just to go on there and play like old PS1 games and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
like that's the sort of the only reason I would do it. But I don't have. If I wanted to, I just go buy a PlayStation 1 and just do that.
Oh yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, if you had the patience, the know-how to kind of crack it, it looks like a remarkable device for that. For me, the thing that always holds me back with it really is I'm a lazy so and so. But also, I know as soon as if I ever bought a Steam Deck, the new one would something like that. I know I'm just not that target market for it. I want something that's within an existing ecosystem that I'm already part of. Hence why the Portal's great, and I'll show up for a PlayStation handheld every time. Xbox is the same. Let's make it happen, Phil. That's all I'm saying.
But it's like, have you not tried like cloud gaming on anything with your Xbox?
I have.
Like with Avowed or something? Does Avowed allow you to do it?
It does. Well, in fact, actually, it's a good question. I'll check out and see.
Because even if you were just sat on the couch and you could just put it on like your laptop or something and sit and play it on that.
Yeah, could. But I'm not a big fan of cloud gaming because see if there's just like an inch of lag, I'm like,
this is pish, man.
Exactly, and I will know.
Yeah,
I
was the same. It was
that pedantic
back in the day of the PS Vita when they had remote play. It was like you might as well have just been making the game yourself at that point, like drawing frames onto it. But yeah, I agree with you. We're ready for it now.
We are, and it's just a matter of time. What I would say, speaking of Xbox, is that Balatro is on Game Pass.
I know.
Just a PSA, we have to put that out there. And yes, I'm also playing it on there for no reason.
Sake.
Even though I could play it on PlayStation, could play it on the Portal, could play it on my phone, I just thought I need to try it on the Xbox because why not? And that's the thing, is wee things like that adding up in the library. It's like, man, yeah. For the first time this generation, it's like, the Xbox is a pretty decent way to go, man.
It's good, yeah. Like I even looked at Warhammer, that Rogue Trader.
Yes.
Like, the other day I was like, I have no interest in playing it or buying it, but I was like, It's on Game Pass, so I'll give it a go. So I've downloaded it. I was downloading it the other night. We were playing COD. So
That's the game that my brother-in-law has a very high opinion on. Says it's absolutely fantastic.
aye.
So
I'm just not a Warhammer man.
I know.
I'm kind of hoping that if I do play it, then I'll just randomly turn into Henry Cavill one day.
Well, you know, where the smoke there's fire. There's always something there.
Aye.
The problem is, though, if you get into it, it's going to get you hard.
I'm going to have
gonna
to
get you
buy
hard.
figures and, not wash.
That's it.
So there you go.
We've all had our phase.
I'm just abusing PC gamers and Warhammer
Just
people.
abusing everybody. Like,
Games Workshops.
One by one, you're just going to see somebody like.
I've not done
throwing
this
the
for a while
headphones
though.
off.
I've not done this for a while though. It was Taylor Swift, and then it was like
Jesus, no. We can't have the Swifties as
Who
well.
else was this? There was Taylor Swift. Who else did I harm?
I have lost count at this point. Lost count. I think I might have had one myself, but I can't remember. I stand by it.
Anyone who doesn't like Ubisoft.
That's it. Yeah, I'll stand by it. Well, of course, it's an interesting thing, and I'm going to come to that just now. So I've got one more thing I was playing this week that I want to update people on. But this week, the news had broke by Jason Schreier at Bloomberg that Warner Brothers Games had decided to shut down Monolith, as well as I think Warner Brothers San Diego.
It was
and who's the other one?
it begins with a P.
Player First
Player
Games.
First Games. There
That's
you go.
it.
I knew that.
And it was Jason Schreier at Bloomberg behind a paywall, which is great. So basically, we won't be able to kind of reference that. We'll have to reference somebody that's lifted that because fuck paying for that. So basically, there was a statement. Obviously, I'm not going to read it out, but basically, what you need to know is that the people behind they were working on the upcoming Wonder Woman game has been cancelled. It's been shit canned. They had also worked on like the Shadow of Mordor series, Fear. For example,
Was that Monolith? Aye?
yeah, it was. Yeah, they've got good pedigree, but it's again, and the main thing, the Nemesis system,
Mhm.
which of course Warner Brother Games had patented, and that's now just sitting there on a shelf doing nothing, which is great. I mean, in terms of like you mentioned Ubisoft there, and they of course have their misdemeanors and fumbles, which is well documented at this point.
Yeah, but
No
Warner
denying it.
Brothers are, slowly becoming the public enemy number one.
I mean,
But not even
How?
just their games division. Like in general, they're
Yeah.
just the fucking worst. Like you have that Roadrunner Acme thing, or what is it? Wile E. Coyote
versus Acme, the
Acme. It's
film,
like
Batgirl.
they make this film, and then it's just like, no,
Mhm.
no, we're not going to do this anymore. They completely fuck up Mortal Kombat in some way, shape, or form. Like Mortal Kombat 1, I don't know if it's successful yet in terms of how many copies of it sold, but the way that the sort of the fighting game community look at that game is miles behind
good.
miles behind what people would have thought about it before. So it's absolutely frightening. And then you've got all this coming out. It's like, see if they didn't have any confidence in making a Wonder Woman game,
Mhm.
why make a fucking Wonder Woman game? Like, they've got the Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. You could have just made another one of those.
This is it's the mismanagement of the portfolio. They obviously went down the route of chasing the Fortnite
Aye.
trend, so multiverses and stuff like that had came out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, you could say dead on arrival, right? That's what it was. It might have had this like kind of meme joke moment for a few weeks on Twitch, but absolutely dead on arrival. And other things like Suicide Squad, Kill the
Yeah.
Justice League, and it's that mismanagement and misunderstanding. In fact, not even misunderstanding. It's maybe them slowly realizing that A, multiplayer game trends aren't the way to go, but B, the things in their portfolio, there's the low hanging fruit, absolute easy stuff, which is just go and continue the Arkham series. We don't want Suicide Squad, right?
Mm-hmm.
These executives that are doing the video games and the films are ramming these D and E tier superhero properties down their throat, trying to chase Marvel. Now, Marvel got lucky because they were at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, Iron Man, Thor, all
Yeah.
C-listers. Like, they were not household names. Even Captain America, outside of the USA, here it was just naff.
Yeah.
I remember when those films had first came out, and it's like, really? But slowly something happened, and we all become endeared to them, and they became household names, and now they're, penthouse suite.
Mm-hmm.
With DC, you got Superman and Batman, right? Arguably two of the biggest superheroes next to Spider-Man in the world. They're like the top three, right?
Right.
See the rest of it. I mean, it's as naff as it gets, and I'm thinking right now, my eyes actually don't turn to Warner Brothers games just now because they've got a decision to make now, which is right, would they be back? And you had the reports from Jason Schreier is that the Rocksteady are back on the Arkham series, but that's donkeys away, which means that they could go down the path of Monolith, who haven't shipped a game in over 5 years now.
I think it's longer than that.
Even longer than that.
I think Shadow of War was like 2015 or something like that. It was like really
2018, I think it was.
2018, so it's quite a while ago. Like it's
a 7 years.
7 years. It's ridiculous. Like a team's so talented, and with this system and things in their hands, it's like they were onto something here. And obviously, you had the issues when Shadow of War came out, but they were addressed, and
that was the start of it.
It was just the start of things to kind of things to come. It's funny you should mention it because it's a game that I've got downloaded and I want to go back to with Shadow of War.
Excellent game, but I'll come back. I'll finish the point, which is, what if the DCU falls in its arse? Now, Superman, I love. I adore Superman. James Gunn, like it's the same thing. It's right, low hanging fruit. We need to do a Batman or a Superman film to kick this off. But if that film flops, which we're kind of seeing that superhero fatigue and all that shite, basically, if that flops, if it's too weird, if people don't buy into the James Gunnification of it all with all these D-lister, not even that, these really obscure characters that comic book fans will love, the deep cuts, if that fails, what does that then mean for Warner Brothers with these properties? Because then it's like, wait, man, these things ain't cool. They know they chase trends.
Yeah.
That's why we're not probably going to be getting any film tie-ins, because that's probably the next thing up their sleeve, which is, right, let's just see how the DCU does, and we'll tie it into
that.
I don't know.
I think that's the wrong way to go about it, though, because it's never worked in the past. Like any sort of movie tie-ins and stuff like that, even your Marvel ones. They had all those tie-ins when like Thor and that came out. Sega were making them and they were pish.
I suppose it's more the rising tide floats all ships mentality, which is if they make Superman cool again, they won't necessarily have David Corn, whatever his name is, in a game, but they make a.
That's what I was going to say though. Superman, is they make a Superman game, and that's fine with me because it works for Batman. Like
he's always in vogue.
But even with like you had the Nolan films coming out, and then you had the Arkham series coming out. They're completely separate, and that's fine. They don't have to be the same.
I mean, I'll guarantee you this: if the Dark Knight didn't do as well as it did, it would have never have got Arkham Asylum.
Arkham Asylum
would have been cancelled.
Yeah, it's true, and that's frightening.
Exactly.
It's just ridiculous. But it's for me, it's with the whole DC universe is that you can't have this many attempts at something like this. Like, how many more Supermans are we going to get? Like, Superman peaked at Man of Steel. And I'll say it again, it's the best Superman movie on earth. But you can't have this many bites at the cherry and, continue coming back for more because cherries aren't that big. And, it's fucking brutal. Like, just watching the way that they continue to fumble this universe. I've not got any love or affinity for DC or Marvel, to be honest with you, but there are things that I'll go and watch. But I've genuinely, even just watching the trailer for the new Superman film, I'm like, there's a dog in it now. I mean, like, that's cool.
I'm into it. I'm glad that Crypto's there, and I'm definitely excited to see it. The score and all that's hitting all the right notes for hey. But I think it's the thing that's concerning me about it.
It's James Gunn.
It's James Gunn, because I feel it's a bit of a one-trick pony, and this is all coming full circle because the issue at Warner Brothers is that seems to be the trick they have. And in this case with the games, it's chasing the trend. And it wasn't that long ago they were saying we're not going to do single player games. It looks like they've pivoted after the absolutely mammoth success of Hogwarts Legacy, surprising nobody.
Yeah,
I mean, I know people out there that don't play games that own that game.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
and it's just like the Harry Potter fandom will turn out in their.
That's what I was going to say. It's the correct. It's the correct property to make a game for, like, and especially the way that they made it and that you make your character and you live that dream. Like, we all want to be in Hogwarts, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to be a Ravenclaw. Make me a fucking Ravenclaw. But
see what the Sorting Hats
like,
is.
what are the properties that Warner Brothers have that they could potentially go down the route of making single player properties? Do we have a Twilight game? Does Warner Brothers got Twilight?
I don't even know.
Let's
I
just
don't
think
even
of random things to make games for.
Maybe
What about the Hunger Games? Do we make a battle royale?
they've got Lord of the Rings.
So you make a good Lord of the Rings game. Oh wait, they did that with Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. Fuck's sake.
They've got cats and dogs.
Oh mate, you make a
Barbershop.
You make a hero shooter cats and dog game.
They've got Magic Mike and Mad Max.
Kevin Nash is in one of those films.
Monsterverse. Obviously Mortal Kombat. It's another one. I'm just getting this. They've got Dirty Harry. Police Academy.
Oh my god.
Scooby-Doo. Tarzan. We got him as well. Fuck's sake.
I mean, you could make a decent Tarzan game.
The big one for me is the Wizarding World. Like,
you continue down that path, and you just
regardless,
you create franchise burnout because we'll all get sick of the games. But do it.
That's the thing that I find interesting about like that Wizarding World one in particular, because that's the one. Like all they have to do to get back on track financially, is to basically accelerate the development and prioritize Hogwarts Legacy 2. Now, regardless of all the controversy about J.K. Rowling, how much of a roaster she is, that thing has absolute franchise Teflon around it because it's a generational thing. It's kids that get unfortunately. Well, kids aren't going to be getting involved in the debates that you see online regarding whether or not you should support J.K. Rowling. Kids are just going to see Harry Potter. I've got one up the stairs that absolutely adores it, and it's like they just see Harry Potter, and that's it.
Yeah,
there's pure innocence. That's like, can't wait to disappoint you when you're a bit more ready to kind of find out what the authors are about. But it's that thing. People turn out in their droves now. Warner Brothers, man, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, because they've got just seeing that news and seeing that Monolith were there, I was like, come on, fuck. Like, it's just annoying as hell.
The Nemesis system, that's the main thing for me. Like,
it's patented to like 2036 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not going to see it again for
what a system.
At least until Trump dies. But or if he ever does, he'll just be like a robot. He'll be Patrick Stewart, or what do you call him from Games Master?
No, he'll be resurrected as Elon Musk's sex bot. That's what will happen. There we go. Come at me, Trump. But talk about having a diamond and not using it.
Yeah.
It's a star striker on the bench. It's whatever analogy you want to throw at it. That in itself is a crime.
Yeah.
They should have all their IP stripped from them for that alone. The Wonder Woman game is supposed to use it as well.
I think that's what they're trying to do, though, is that it seems to me that I don't think we'll see like Warner. This is going to. I don't know how to word this, but they're going to like ship these games to other people to make them for them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So like, I think that they were chatting about somebody could lease Mortal Kombat and use NetherRealm to make it.
Yeah.
But then they pay Warner Brothers to do it or something like that. I don't understand why you would pay someone else to make someone else make a game for you.
I'm not sure. I think they're trying to mitigate the losses because I think over 100 million was spent on Wonder Woman already.
Yeah.
Which is a big bath to take.
Like, how much money did they make from Hogwarts Legacy?
Oh, God, billions.
So, what the fuck? It's 100 million you can lose. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly. I just still don't understand why, of all the properties they had, like, why would they focus on Wonder Woman now?
I think there is something there. Like,
there is. I was looking forward to it.
It's the pillars of DC. Like,
yeah.
You know, I know we talk about Superman and Batman, but
Wonder Woman
is equally as important. But
you're just thinking,
it's just. But they're talking about using the Nemesis system in that, and then like, you know, it could have been cool, like just the way that they make it, and from all the people that are talking about it on Blue Sky, like there's people who were developing it, and they've come out and said like, look, it was coming along really well, and like we were really excited to show it off, but it's going to be one of these things in like a few years' time. There'll be leaked footage of what this game was like, and there'll be like alpha gameplay, and we'll see what it looked like, and then we'll be like, why did they never just make this?
And this is where I wanted the conversation to go, and this isn't the main topic, right? This is where I wanted to go, which is,
oh my God,
as gamers, are we guilty of putting leaked games on a pedestal of they would have been guaranteed perfect?
Aye, yeah, 100%.
Guaranteed, because it's our imagination that we're going with. How many times we've seen leaked footage like, oh damn, you should have released that. Like the leaked footage for the Batman Beyond game that would have come out. All it was concept art.
Yeah.
And it's like, that game would have been so much better. And as for all we know, it could have came out and been absolutely dug meat. And the amount of leaked projects that we see.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ, you just have to go to Amy Hennig's portfolio.
Oh, well,
It's just
she's
a laundry
responsible for
list,
all of it.
you know.
No, you're completely right.
It's a funny thing. I just noticed.
I don't
Funny
think there's
thing.
any way you can look at it though. Like, I think you can look at the game and be like, yeah, it looks bad, but you know, if they had more time with it, then they would have ironed out those kinks and stuff. But you know, ultimately, it could have come out and completely fucking bombed like every other Wonder Woman movie. So, it's just one of those things. It's so frustrating, and it's something I've been worried about. Like with Mortal Kombat, being a big fucking Mortal Kombat fan, it's like I know that now they've come out and said, look, we're focusing on the main pillars of our thing. So they're talking about like your Hogwarts. They're talking about Mortal Kombat. There was another couple there that I can't even remember, but you know, they're focusing on these games because they know that they work.
Yep.
Like Batman and stuff. So, you know, I'm hoping that it does give us time and a lot of hope for, you know, Mortal Kombat and stuff in the future, but I just can't see it because one is pish. Like one is fucking horrible. All they need to do, genuinely, all they need to do right now, it's not going to make them a ton of money, but I think it'll create wishes or well-being within the Mortal Kombat and stuff, the fighting game community, is re-release all the 3D Mortal Kombats.
Listen,
I can't even say it seriously because all the 3D Mortal Kombats were terrible.
I know, but I mean, listen, there's other ways to make money, I suppose. Like,
no, do you know what they do? Do you know what they do? Right, this is the brainchild. Honestly, I've got it now.
Right,
remake Shaolin Monks.
mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, whatever your name is, or whatever the other one is, give us a call. I'll do it. But I'm telling you, remake Shaolin Monks and Warner Brothers will be set for life because that game is quite possibly the most tweeted thing at Ed Boon. Like every single time anyone tweets Ed Boon, it's remake Shaolin Monks, remaster Shaolin Monks.
I mean, I have a theory on where the future of some of their IP portfolio is going to be going, but I'll disclose that with you off podcast because it's crackpot. But I have a theory. But I'm not saying it here because it might involve other content creators.
Oh.
But I wanted to moving on from that.
What Mr. Beast is making.
So it's Mr. Bean.
Mr. Bean's making the next Hogwarts game.
Honestly, that it wouldn't surprise me these days. Like it's not based on. It's not a meritocracy anymore. It's just all about whoever has the most money just gets to do what they want. But anyway, the last thing I want to touch on for this week is that because of everything that had been going on, is I'd been playing a lot more Marvel Snap, but it's just a lot of any other sickos out there like me that like to play Marvel Snap every day. There is a new mode that's gone live, which is the Sanctum Showdown, right? And it's just my thoughts on it, Scott. Just my thoughts. Basically, this one's all about, instead of the 3 lanes trying to win it, you have to win one that will be marked specifically at a time, then you'll get a point. The first one to 16 will win the whole thing.
Oh, God.
You get the points, win or lose. So if you've got 9 points, you still get them, you rank up. And there's 3 new cards in there. I've got one of the 3 already. It's a greedy, sweaty mode. And this is another one. This is where you get the executives and all that coming in and the money making aspect in gaming. Man, I really wish Second Dinner, it feels like they need to just get something right. That every time they try and do something new, I don't know, it's just feeling like it's over monetized and sweaty. The card acquisition's horrible. The series drops lately were horrendous, but I still turn up every day and I'm playing it like a saddle, much to my wife's chagrin. But yeah, they need to get better. It just feels too much, man. Like, put in high voltage mode, get rid of this nonsense, and just make getting cards good. That's it. Make
cards more fun again.
Jesus.
Make cards fun again. And something like that.
Last point, speaking of which, thing that did surprise us today is that Dragon Age the Veil card is coming to PlayStation Plus next month.
Fucking unreal.
Good grief.
EA, what are you on about, man?
Surrounded by lots of weird decisions happening.
Do you think it's what's the word? A concern that it's hitting PlayStation Plus so soon? I think it is a concern for BioWare. Because they projected something like, was it 10 million sales or something, and they took 50% of that. Not by any means a failure. My figures could be wonky and that, so somebody check it. But it's it was like way off their projections. Aye. And right now, if I'm looking at that, this is purely speculation with no Mass Effects coming, but if you're EA,
and you are the suit, and it's like, we need that, do 15 million. The last one didn't do as much. And they're going to start blaming nonsense around, like, you know, was it DEI and all
DEI.
that pish, right? The people that these crackpots will believe you as a failure. But actually it's to do with greed, corporate greed, because they expect these levels of sales to come in. BioWare right now, it's like that game released on October 31st.
Yeah.
And here we are, how many months later? Just a little, not even 6 months later. And it's going up on this subscription service, which effectively, once it's on PS Plus, right, or Xbox Game Pass, but more so PS Plus, you're expecting games like that to at least be out for at least 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
This is unprecedented in terms of, like, wow, good
it's,
value.
It's a good thing for PlayStation Plus, but it is one of those things where when you sent me it today, I was like, what? Like, I thought it was made up.
Yeah, yeah.
It just didn't feel right. And in my head, I was like, it's great for people who haven't played it, and hopefully it does, create more eyes and give people the more more of an opportunity to actually play it. But also, like, oh god, like, just like fucking hell, like,
this was a game that was on our Game of the Year list not even 2 months ago.
It's
mental.
It's a kind of good thing and a bad thing, I think, but hopefully it's not.
I wouldn't be surprised if in a few months we're sitting here talking about a Jason Schreier report about BioWare being in trouble.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit it, because
they already have been, because half of their team were stripped and all that and put in other EA places. So
you heard it here first.
It's a fucking nightmare. Like,
I hope I'm wrong.
All these places like BioWare and Monolith, and you had the Xbox studios a couple of years ago. Like, it's just, you have fucking PlayStation, Concord, everything. Like, I'm trying to be equally hatred toward all of them, but it's just indicative of how this, the industry is at the moment.
Yeah.
And that the decisions that are being made aren't being made by people who understand the industry. It's people who are chasing numbers. And I think there has to be a chasing of numbers in there somewhere, but it can't be make a game tomorrow but have it sell 50,000 million copies. It's like, what?
Yeah, I'd have to say, I'd say at this point it would almost be required listening. If you go check out a Kind of Funny Games cast, it was last week, and it had Matt Piscatella on there.
Brilliant, it was great.
Industry analyst, and he explains this so perfectly as to what's happening, to kind of explain the lay of the land. I think it was titled "Our Video Games Doomed?" I won't go into it, but if you've got a spare hour, it's really worth your while just going and checking out that episode. He is so informative, and whilst he puts everything at ease, it totally kind of sets the scene as to why we're in this mess that we're in. I think we all just want these people to be creative and not to be focused on profit loss. But unfortunately, seems to be the way of the world just now.
The way of the world just now. I was going to sing Mad World, but I felt a bit too sad.
Well, we're going to be getting a juggernaut this year, apparently. Grand Theft Auto 6, which should give everybody an absolute super injection of interest in gaming.
Fable.
Not Fable, yeah, it got delayed as well this week, Jesus Christ, but I can see why.
Yeah.
Because they're probably thinking, rumours are showing October for GTA 6. We were thinking that, no chance, because any game bar Call of Duty that comes out around it,
it's true.
They've got a snowball's chance.
Gonna die.
Exactly. But anyway, on that cheery note, I think it's time for us to move on to the main topic. And we talked about Grand Theft Auto 6, and then we talked about a lot of big chunky games there, Scott. But this week's main topic, of course, is titled Show the Length. Are games too long? Of course, this is a thing that keeps coming up time and time again, and it's actually working at odds to the bean counters. They don't really want you buying very long games unless it's riddled with microtransactions and they can squeeze you. Things like Call of Duty, for example.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles had just came out, and it's cost you 60 quid to get all those skins.
It's fucking disgusting. And they look fucking terrible as well.
Yeah, but that's a multiplayer example, but that's why you're not seeing these big 60, these big 100 plus hour single player experiences, because they want you in the multiplayer ones live service where they can continually squeeze you on a daily basis. But to answer the question, Scott, right, because this is something that comes up a lot. If you ingest gaming media on a daily basis, like we saddos do you think games are too long?
I've been saying it for years. They are. I said it when The Witcher 3 came out. It's like, it's overwhelming. Like, I think I even wrote something on Gaming Rule when we had it about it, like our video games too long, because it's ridiculous, the expectation that you'll spend all this time in this world. And like, sure, there's going to be people who do that, but it feels like it's, if there's an expectation that you're going to spend 70 to 100 hours playing at a game one time, it's like, fuck this. It's so annoying. But you would do it in a multiplayer game. Like, we probably got hundreds of hours in Call of Duty. Easy. Not this one.
I reserve the right to not comment on that.
not this one yet, but eventually, just at the times we play it, it's not.
We do. I think we're touching 100 hours.
They accumulate, so it's just ridiculous. But playing a single player game, like last year, I played more 70 to 100 hour games than I think I've played my whole life. And it was for the purpose of doing this podcast, but it's brutal. Like, it is absolutely brutal unless you love the game and you love the world that you live in.
Yeah,
fair dues, but 100% are too long.
I mean, for me, if you ask that the exact same question, I say no, but I don't want every game to be a long game. I think for me, is that I don't think they're too long because I think we need games of all variety. We'll have a chance to dig into this, which is interesting. But I think I like having ones that I can spend endless hours in, as much as I do like having the wee shorter one and done games. For me, I very much look at it the same as like a main course and starter pudding type thing, you know. And it's just how I personally like to play my games, and that's what this is. It's a personal preference.
Yeah.
But there is a growing concern, I suppose, around like, are they too long? I don't actually think that they are. I think it becomes that largely because of what you described, which is kind of like one of the main points that I'll get back to.
Oh God, I'm scared now because I don't know
Well,
what
you said, we'll do it now. You said that you played a lot of these big ass games for this podcast, games media in mind, and it was brutal. And it is like I remember being handed Borderlands 2 to review. Not a short game, even by yesterday's standards, but and having to review that in like a week. Absolutely brutal. And then I always say to this day, I would hate it if somebody gave me GTA 6 as a review copy.
100%.
Because you can't enjoy it because it's that time, it's a deadline pressure. You're up very late and you're absolutely crushing it to get through it. I think for our podcast, Star Wars Outlaws is probably one. And that wasn't a particularly long game, but it's still about 40 odd hours or something spent to finish that game to review it within like less than a week.
I mean,
that was
Metaphor,
brutal.
ReFantasio, Dragon's Dogma, Final Fantasy. Like, just last year, it was ridiculous. Persona 3. Like, that's hundreds. That's maybe 400 hours in all those games. Like, it is outrageous. But I think it also comes down to the games that you play. So when you're saying no, but it's some of the games that you play are completely different to the games that I'll play, because the majority of the games that I'll play will be massive fucking stupid RPGs, JRPGs that I play. But I don't tend to go for these shorter experience because I feel like I don't get my money's worth for it.
Well, that's a perfect segue into this. It was effectively...
It's almost like we've planned this.
Almost like we've planned it. Because, I think it's that whole question of value versus time you're playing, really. I'm with you on it, like getting the bang for your buck. Personally, I like the feeling of value. It comes in many shapes and forms, doesn't it? Like, it could be, if I've paid £15 for a game, right, and it's a lovely little indie narrative title, you know, the type of ones that I'll enjoy, Scott, probably involving some Midwestern American setting in the 90s or something like that, with a cool soundtrack and a little ending that makes you shed a tear. One and done, in and out, I'm fine, 15 quid. But see, when you're asking me to shed, like, part with £70, right, which I rarely do, but if it's a digital copy, £70 of your hard-earned money, you better believe I'm wanting at least 80 plus hours out of that if I can get it. If I play that game and it's like 12 hours, I am feeling shortchanged. Yeah.
It's how I feel when they talk about, you know, Indiana Jones last year, right? Now, would you want to complete everything in that game, even just a normal playthrough? How many hours is that?
It can be anywhere between, I would say, about 12 to 25 hours in a standard.
And if you bought that game full price, not on Game Pass, how much would it have been?
70 quid.
I feel like that's not value for money.
No.
But like there was a game last year. Forgive me because I cannot remember what it was, but I was listening to a kind of funny podcast, right? And see, when they said it bothered me because they were saying, yeah, for a shorter experience, like, $30-$40 is fine. It's like, is it though? Like, I know it's less money, but that's what you were paying for a game in, 1990, 2000. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's still a lot of money for some people.
Yeah.
And playing that for a shorter title where it is just a one and done experience, it's like, no, that isn't good enough. Like,
Yeah.
It really fucking irked me when they said it, and I still think about it to this day because it annoyed me just the way they were nonchalant. Like, yeah, I'd pay that for it, even though they don't because they get fucking codes for it. But it's just, I'm coming for kind of funny now. I don't. But it is, you're 100% right in that if you're making me spend this amount of money on a game, I want to be playing it for a long time. And there's games this year that I will buy. 4 of them. Not 4 now, 1, 3. Three more. What was my first one? Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk was my first one.
But I said you shouldn't count that.
No, I'm counting it.
Okay.
I'm counting it.
Because that was a challenge technically, so you didn't have a choice in the matter.
I've managed to clear a few off them because Expedition 33 is coming to Game Pass and that as well.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have to worry about that. But it is just those kind of things where it's just video games are more expensive now than they ever have been, and we're talking about Grand Theft Auto being £1 million when it comes out. But
I'll take it.
With Grand Theft Auto, see if they turned down and said, yeah, Grand Theft Auto is going to be £75, but it's going to be fucking enormous, and you get all this content with it. You get Grand Theft Auto Online, whatever that's going to be. You're like, I'd actually have paid more for this. Like, I feel like I'm actually stealing from you. But if another game came out and said that, you'd be like, it's strange. So I think it sometimes depends on the quality of the game itself as well. Like,
it definitely does.
With Senua's Sacrifice last year, now that would have been $30-$40 when you first bought that, I'm sure.
Yeah, even 40-50, I think.
So, and that game's like 7 hours long.
Even at that.
So it's like, that is outrageous.
Yeah. And I know it's like, there's the other side of the coin, which is you want to support developers and all the rest of it. And I get it, I'm with you as well.
That's fine.
But there is a reason why the Juggernaut games are long.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's another way, although it's not just about like, right, I finished the story, 12 hours. Like, usually it's about 12 hours, right? God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm happy to part with collector's edition cash for that because, I'm hyped, but also I'm platinum that.
Yeah.
And I've put like 60 hours into that game. I'm like, I feel very fulfilled. It's like a good use of my money. I'm going to be with it for a while. If it doesn't pass that test, I'm always hesitant.
Yeah.
It's hence why all these, there's so many amazing indie titles out there that people might just be hesitant to buy because it's like, well, it's £15, but I don't really want to spend 4 hours there and forget about it. I'd rather just kind of go elsewhere or rent a film because that's how much it costs now. But it's that feeling of value, which I think we, as the hardcore, always make the mistake of skipping by.
Yeah. Because
we are like the very, very smallest slice of the pie. The vast majority of the gamers are probably buying one game, maybe 2 a year. There's a reason for that. And if they are jumping into something huge, it is something like Elden Ring because that has got like hundreds of hours worth of content within there. And it's that feeling of bang for your buck. It's just like, it's the same way I suppose you could look at food. You know what I mean? Like, stick with me here. But there's a reason why, like, of course we could go out and just fart our money away on something really expensive and small. You know what I mean? Like a filet mignon, right? Or I could go buy loads of like stew and beef and veg and all the rest of it, and I could feed myself for a week off that as opposed to, maybe not a week, be a bit ropey by the end of it, but I could feed myself for a few days as opposed to one meal.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of consumerist type, or that consumer behaviour that we've got to think about at the end of the day. For me, I want every ounce from it personally. And I think for our audience, we're fortunate now. We built ourselves to a position where we can go and talk about even buying 4 games a year.
Yeah.
I remember when the wee one was born and even buying that one game a year. And I'll tell you the one it was Jurassic World Evolution. And I remember walking down that street behind us, Scott, and I was just like, I was like £5 off. It was like literally that touch and go because it's like, I've got to pay all the bills, your partner's on maternity leave, all that type of stuff. God knows where I found it from. But proper, like, I probably robbed somebody, but it's like proper, like, ghetto mentality.
Especially for Jurassic.
Yeah, but I was like, I was turning up for that because it's like, it has been like better part of a year since I
Yeah.
bought a game.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to buy something because it's like, I'm still a gamer.
Yeah.
But I had taken like Assassin's Creed Origins to the absolute hilt, platinum, that I was rinsing all these old games, but it was like, there's nothing wrong with wanting something new. And I appreciate that it's like, if you're going to make that investment, if you are buying that one game, you want to be like, well, am I going to be playing that for a while or not?
Yeah.
And that's where if somebody said to me, it's a pretty long game, man, that's actually quite appealing to me in that position.
I think that's the point, though, is that video games are too long, but for the amount that you pay for them, it's worth the investment.
Yeah.
Like, if you are getting hundreds of hours out of a game, like you're literally squeezing it dry, you know, like that's what you want out of it. Like getting the platinum trophy on Rise of the Ronin, for example.
Yep.
Now, not the best game that I've ever played in my life, but I spent the money on it and it felt like I got every single penny that I paid for it because I did spend all that time with it. But yeah, it's a difficult sort of scale, because what is the price point for a game that you feel that you would pay? What's the most that you would pay for a game that isn't too long enough?
So define too long. That's probably the starting point.
You define it for yourself.
I think for me, when you anything over 60 hours, no, anything over 50 hours, I would say is going into the what people would say is too long category. If you've got something maybe before that, I'd say standard length of these games. Like if it's just a narrative type, something with a bit of narrative, bit of action, your standard game, 12 hours, you would say. Platinum run 30. So then anything above that, RPG wise, 50 I'd be expecting. And then if it's a big meaty one, it goes to the 50 to anything 100 and probably has like multiplayer or something like that within it as well. There's no real, it's not an exact science. For me, if it's a game that you're saying to me is less than 12 hours, that's where I'm like, I'm not paying for what for that.
I'm just going to wait.
I'm just going to wait.
See if it comes out in PlayStation Plus or something.
If it was something like a platform exclusive, so say, if it's for talking's sake,
Uncharted 5 comes out.
Uncharted 5, that's a perfect example. Now, Uncharted 4 was about 18 hours, right? But that's one that's like, full price, no bother. And I know that, and it's something that has replayability because you can do in different difficulties and platinum runs and all that stuff. And the story. And you know it's going to be well worth it because the quality aspect comes into the game. If you were something like, I don't know, try to think of an indie game that came along. Like Cult of the Lamb was one a few years ago, and that was a really low price point. It has a lot of replayability value within it, and it's like cool. It's because it's got the roguelike elements in it as well. Even Balatro,
Hades.
Like these are all ones that have infinite replayability. Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
But if you're something like, try to think now, Lost Records, Blooming Rage, or in fact even Life is Strange, Double Exposure. That game came out last October, November, I think it was, and it was at £50. Now me, I was a big fan, and as you know, I was really looking forward to it, and I thought, I'm not paying it for that, because I knew straight away that's going to be about 10 hours, 12 hours max, and I'm in and out, and I'm not going to play it again. And I waited till I got it in a sale, and it was about 33 quid or something.
I still think that's too much.
I'll wait and see
but
when
these
I finish
people,
it.
the developers and stuff need support.
I mean, once it's on sale, it's already a loss. But I mean, it's one of those things. I don't think about it that way because at the end of the day,
you're not responsible for it. It's like, it's not my job to make sure. I'm sorry, right? This is going to be probably one of the most controversial statements that I make on this podcast, but it is not my responsibility to make sure that these developers stay in business. I'm not running the business for them. Do you know what I mean? Like, as a consumer, I'm not thinking about, and it's the worst thing about doing a podcast and having to listen to all these shows about games, because you become concerned about every single games company that ever exists. Like, I'm going to have to go and buy the next Naughty Dog game because I need to make sure that they perform well. Like, and having to worry about console wars and stuff like that. It's like, that is not my place in this.
No.
I just want to be buying games because I enjoy the games, and that's cool.
As a punter, yeah.
As a punter, yeah. So it's like, it's not my responsibility to make sure that these games do well. But ultimately, They have to. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I think
with it,
it's
but
more
it's
like from a consumer angle, it's not your responsibility, but I would also argue you are an empathetic human being and you do
Yeah.
feel for them.
Oh no, of
when it's
course. I
the
mean, when the
but
individuals, when everything gets fucking shit for them, then
yeah,
yeah, 100%. But and I do appreciate the hard work and effort that goes into it because I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like I can barely fucking send it to my computer at work correctly. But these people are creating,
you're that guy in IT every morning.
mate. I tell you, I put the wrong password in every single day.
Oh man,
But I am not. I can't. I do. I completely feel for every single person out there because it's horrible.
Yeah.
But again, it's just there's a seismic shift in the way things are. But bringing it back to sort of obviously what we've been talking about, and that it's there's a really fine line between what you want to pay
Mhm.
and the length of it. Like
what you want to pay and what you get to play.
And
That's
the
really it.
exactly,
So the answer to this is like what's interesting. This is something that always comes out, and you're going to see it next month when Assassin's Creed comes out, right? But
You've been saying this next month for like the past like 7 months. Do you know what I mean? Like next month when Assassin's Creed comes out.
Sitting here in fucking November, big long beard and shit. But yeah, that's going to enter the discourse, right?
Yeah.
Folk hate that. The answer to it isn't that all games must be shorter. And I think this is something that narrative really serves that very small few who have demands to play every game.
Yeah.
Now, I think
that's very true.
That's why it's in the community. I think it's a very vocal minority of people. It's a privileged few. It's touchy, right? This is coming back to what you said earlier. I'm not surprised to hear that on a lot of games media podcasts, particularly. I mean, we could be sitting here now just being like, man, I just wish games were shorter so I could play them more. I don't have time for this. And it's like, that's just not representative of a everyday consumer.
Yeah.
Even a hardcore consumer, they're not playing every single game. So it's one thing if the game just kind of outstays its welcome, which is, we've done the same thing one too many times here. But I think the pressures and reality of playing these things are to them or to the games media, ourselves included, I suppose, to a lesser extent, are very different to the normal punter. Even how we play games is very different to the average person that's out there playing games. And I think the answer to that isn't to then artificially compound every other game. I want them all. I want the short games, I want the long games, the ones in between. I think that's healthy because I think it's good to have a mix of them. I think you need a home. We've spoke about comfort gaming so many times over the past couple of weeks. Having that game where it's like, do you know what? I'm going to be here for a couple of weeks or even a couple of months and take my time just going through it. A GTA 5. Somebody we know out there, somebody even listening, has probably never even finished that game. Or if they have, it could have taken them 6 months. We could do it in 6 days, right? And it's just because we'll play it differently. We have different needs. I feel quite strongly that using that as a criticism against it, it's a very, very tough one to get right because if a reviewer or somebody saying to me, it's too long because you're doing one thing constantly for 80 hours and it's boring and it outstays its welcome. Fair enough. That was Assassin's Creed Valhalla's problem. And I'll definitely say that's like as much as I enjoyed it. Once you start getting to hour 135, you're like, right, I'm ready to finish this game, right? Take it from me personally.
I think if you're getting to any game at 135 hours, you're thinking like that for the most part.
Yeah. But I mean, the quality of it is still fantastic.
100%, yeah.
There is this other thing, Scott.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Which is, when it comes to game length, the thing that I find fascinating is that it's something that we tend to focus on a lot with Western games as opposed to ones like Japanese RPGs.
Here he comes. Here he comes.
I know. It's going to be controversial.
He comes with the JRPGs.
No, but it's inconsistent with the criticism. Like, Octopath Traveler 2, right? That's a game that I have been playing for years at this point, and it's not because it's taking me years, because I keep going in and out. I know that game's going to take me about, 90 to 100 hours to play, and I accept that. At no point did that ever come up in criticisms. If that game was I don't know, Bethesda RPG or something like that. Oh, that's a bad example. If that game was like Monolith, if they were still with us, right, the Wonder Woman game had came out, it would get absolutely dragged across the flare for it. And it's something that I think it's an expectation and celebration versus a criticism.
Can I have an example of a Western game that has been,
I'll just say
shit-canned for being too long?
Assassin's Creed.
Was it?
All of them have been.
I've never.
Odyssey, Origins, Valhalla.
It's just because it's
dragged
Assassin's
over the
Creed, though. It's not about the game length. It's just because it's Assassin's Creed and nobody understands the story.
It's a bit like the JPR.
No, it's all the Desmond parts. Oh, fuck off, Desmond.
Oh, they were wanked. No, but it's that grind aspect, and I love that. It's like we played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth last year.
Mm-hmm.
There were some parts of it. That was the first one I remember seeing people were kind of criticizing the length. I'm like, this is amazing. Like you're getting 65 hours of pure story.
Yeah,
amazing value for money. But then if I think of like Octopath, or even if a new Xenoblade comes out tomorrow, ones where it's like grinding is so quintessential to the game itself, and it's like it's more celebrated.
I do think that's just a part of the game though, that's what it's created within itself. Like it is expected. Like within a JRPG or something like that. Like it's almost anticipated that there will be an element of grind there, or it is going to be artificially bloated because you have to grind. Like,
and that's the thing.
And it should. You're 100% correct.
The word you used, bloat. How many times have you read a review for like a game like, say, The Last of Us Part 2, almost double the length of the first one? Bloat, outstays its welcome, etc. Totally different game.
Aye.
But that criticism just isn't aimed the same way. It's just what I'm asking for is consistency. That's all I'm asking for.
I totally get it. I think it is the people that are reviewing JRPGs are people that enjoy JRPGs. You know what I mean? Like there's a smaller audience of people who are reviewing these games that are used to that, whereas the people who do all this sort of Western pish is, everyone and anyone. So I totally get it. I think you saw it with Mario and Luigi Brothership or something like that. People were saying that was too long.
Yeah.
Like, so Nintendo are guilty of it as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very much a selective thing. It's just something that I find interesting, if anything else.
I do get your point.
We're ignoring that kind of consistency and ignoring a lot of gamers on the list because it's like, I don't know, it's just... I think I mentioned something about it last week as well. Not specifically this, but that consistency and how we're talking about games. It's something I bear in mind a lot when we're talking about it, because there's Avowed, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get 50 hours out of that easy. Probably even more if you do everything. And it's like, cool, it's definitely worth a Game Pass subscription.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to pay the full price for it, I would just say just get Game Pass.
Yeah.
That would be it, because that option's there. If it was on PlayStation, I'd probably say, if you're really, really wanting that itch scratch just now, yeah, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. The one thing, because just with you saying, like the kind of buyer beware part of that, are there any games that you've bought and played for like a long period of time, even though you hate it because you bought it?
Like, it's a really good one. That
something you've sort of forced yourself to play.
Do you know what? I'm going to make sure the answer's yes. The answer's yes. I just can't quite think of it just
now. Do you want
now.
me to tell you mine?
What?
I think anyone can guess this, but the game that
Wait a minute. Something you played recently?
Yes.
Then you go tell us.
So the game that I would choose for this is Dragon's Dogma 2. Honestly, I feel like I'm the only person that ever shits on this game, but that is long for the sake of just being long. And it's not long because it's loaded with things to do. It's long because you cannot travel anywhere quickly. You're sort of the most of your time is spent parading through weird forests and weird deserts because you can't walk fast.
Yeah.
And persisting with that just because I did buy it, I was like, oh fucking hell. I wish I could drop you, but I just cannot stand it. I can't even think of anything else because previously I wouldn't have even thought about buying anything like that. But
there's games that you maybe through the length of time you spent with it, you do go off it. And that's
Call
the
of
downside.
Duty Advanced Warfare.
Advanced Warfare, aye.
Any recent FIFA game?
I think it's a bit harsh for me. If I can't say I didn't dislike it. the one that I felt the slog in was Gotham Knights recently.
Mm-hmm.
And that isn't really a particularly long game, but I mean, it's longer than you think,
Mhm.
even though it's actually telling a pretty decent story, but it's not that fun to play,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably one that I realised in hindsight after revisiting it last year, Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Like,
Finally.
going back to that game, and I'm just like, I just can't be bothered with you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, because I'm like, it wasn't, Fallout 4 was more like Fallout 3.5 anyway, but the amount of hours I've put into that, Scott, I mean, just easy over 100, and it's probably because I've just made myself sick of it.
Yeah. It's a good example of it, though, is that Fallout is long. The kind of Elder Scrolls series are long now. It's fucking, you'll stab me under the table if I talk about, Oblivion or Morrowind or whatever it is, because I've never played them. But if I talk about my experience with, I won't. If I talk about my experience with the Fallout series or Skyrim, is that I feel like every single time I play these games, they're packed with life and bustling world and stuff, but it's like, it's fucking boring as sin. Like, and having to sit through this whole thing for 60, 70, 80 hours. People play these games for years.
Yeah,
it's like, how? How could you be bothered with this? Because it's not something that I'd even consider doing. Yeah. It's the same as the people who sit and play Fortnite or Apex Legends or the Elder Scrolls Online, RuneScape. I'm trying to think of any other long games. World of Warcraft. Like, all these kind of games are huge. Now, some of these games are made up by the experiences that you have in them, like Destiny, for example. When we played that together, we must have put in
a lot
of time into the first Destiny. So, but that wasn't because the game was, for me, it wasn't because the game was good. It's because I was playing it with someone.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference with multiplayer gaming. But I think you're touching on something. I think it's like routine gaming, which I think a lot of punters out there crave, myself included, which is Stardew Valley. Yeah, there's one which 100%. Is like, I've got a wee appointment with myself to sit and just kind of chill out with that. That's my happy place just now. For I know there's some people out there that will like, or you might have a saddle like myself, and I will put dozens of hours into replaying the Arkham games every year. I don't know when, don't know why, but I will do it every single year because it's almost a ritual at this point.
Yeah.
It's like watching a film that you really enjoy.
True, yeah.
So my wife, she is not the big MCU fan, but if you ask her what one of her favourite films of all time is, it's Avengers Endgame. She absolutely marks out every time for it, and I'll be there with her. But it's like Scott, she loves that film.
Which one is that? Is that the last one, like the very last one? Or is that
it's the one that finished the Infinity Saga?
Right. So I prefer the one before it.
Me too. I prefer Infinity War, but Endgame still slaps.
It still slaps. It class. Work. It's just like pure popcorn. It's just like pure cinema, isn't it? Like,
but it's like, see if it's like a rainy day, so I'll stick on a film. We'll stick on Avengers Endgame. I'm like, a 3 hours film like, in this economy.
Sorry, this is completely off topic, right? And I'm derailing this point here, but what is the public opinion of Age of Ultron?
I think it's got better over time.
Aye, good. Age of Ultron's class. James Spader is fucking Ultron's great. Like, I remember when the trailers came out for that movie and he's singing the Pinocchio songs and all that shit as well. It's like,
Just do it in the film very briefly.
I'm all in on this. It's cool as fuck.
It's better now in the light of Endgame because it pays off stuff in there, which is, man, they were on something else back then. But let's maybe I'll start a different podcast about that where I could just rant about Marvel and the stuff they're doing right and wrong. But for me, Scott, the question I want to ask you is like, so you've mentioned a lot of big assed chunky games there, right? Persona 3, Dragon's Dogma 2, ones you might have liked, ones you might have not liked so much. If there's someone out there that's probably thinking, do you know what? I'm wanting to get back into it. I'm wanting to play Persona 3. I'm wanting to play Metaphor. Any tips in terms of how do you manage it as someone that's juggling life, wife, kids, everything? Like, what's your secret?
Life, wife, almost like rap. Spitting bars over here.
Spitting bars.
I think you hit the nail on the head in that it's routine. So you treat it as if it is routine. Like, if we're not playing Call of Duty, you're playing that. Like, and you'll do it with Assassin's Creed. If there's nights where, you know, you're wanting to play Assassin's Creed and I text you for COD, it's like, oh no, something's happened. I can't come online.
It'll be a solo podcast for a few months, folks.
Appearing online on PS5, so I don't see it. But it's you know, it's one of those things where you have to treat it as routine. Sneak in time even when you can get it.
Mhm.
The PlayStation Portal, kind of handheld gaming, is your ally here.
Yeah.
Like, as I say, I'd have never finished Baldur's Gate 3 if I never had the PlayStation. I'd still be playing that fucking game now.
Oh, what a game!
If I didn't have the Portal, it
So
was
good.
class for it. So just take any opportunity that you can to. But it's also don't. So it's routine, but don't let it become. What's the word? Don't let it become like annoying to you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
With Metaphor, it was very much like, this is just fucking annoying me now. Like, just end. And the Atlas games and the Persona series and Metaphor have this fucking terrible problem where you think it's finishing and then there's another fucking 10 hours left and it's
Oh,
like, fuck
God.
off, man, just going to end. Hurry up. But it is, don't let it burden you, because you know you're in for a long time with it. And yeah, just make it routine. It's the game that you go back to and play every single night. And if it becomes annoying, step away. Play Stardew Valley.
Very well put, Scott. I made some notes here and I think I put everything the exact same here. I think, yeah, don't feel guilty about the backlog is when I put down, because I'm probably guilty of that. I think we both are. It's just like, I play this, I'm doing that.
I have never been guilty of the backlog until recently. Like, the year of the log is in full swing. It's never been something that I've ever really thought about. And you fucking hammer me for it, because I buy games left, right, and centre. I buy everything. So,
to be fair, you've been true to your word so far this year.
It's been good.
He's been a good man.
Been a good boy. But what'd you call it? It's if you're going to I think you go into one of these games knowing that it's going to be long. Like, if you're buying Persona, any Persona, you know you're there for a while.
Yeah.
So just enjoy the ride with it, and don't be afraid. And this goes for every game. Don't be afraid if you want to get through it quickly. Change the difficulty options to easy.
Oh yes,
Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
Fucking, that's the only reason I finished Metaphor. I was just like, I just can't be bothered now. Just change it to easy.
But do you know what I love about that though? At that point, you've made the decision. I'm here for the story.
Yeah.
That's what I get out of it.
Yeah.
And the power fantasy as well. I've done that so many times. I think I did that with Horizon Zero Dawn back in the day, because I was like, I can't be fucked doing this. And I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to go in and just start milking these robots with one arrow.
And it's more fun.
Great.
It's more fun.
Great fun.
Yeah.
I wish I did it with some other games, mind you.
Yeah.
Like God of War.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realise that you could turn it down to easy to get the platinum. It's like, that would have really helped with the Valkyrie fights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's a good point, though, is that you're talking about platinum gaming and stuff as well, and that some of these games are bigger because you're going for the platinum trophies. So, Time to Beat, excellent for it. Check out that just to see how long it's going to take you to actually beat the game and the completionist route for it.
Yeah,
if you look at that and you say, oh, look, I could finish this game in 40 hours, but if I want to do everything, it's 70, 80. Then you know you're in there strapping in. Power picks, PSN profiles, Xbox achievements, blah, blah, blah. Go on there and check out some guides. Doesn't spoil anything for you, but just have a look on there and just see what to expect.
That's a great shout.
And, then you're set. I'm doing it with Grand Theft Auto now. I just sit with PSN profiles on my phone, just sitting there looking at what I need to do. And I'm not doing anything but just finishing missions at the moment, but then I know where I'm going next.
That without guides, and to deviate slightly, but it is a long game. And without guides, I probably wouldn't ever play any Souls games.
Yeah.
Because I remember for years at first, how many times did I start and restart like Bloodborne? So I'm not getting this, but I wanted to play it. It was something about it that lured me. Still to this day, I always have that thought, I should go back and play Bloodborne. But it's, I remember it was, I think it might have been yourself, or it was my brother-in-law, just use a guide. It was yourself. And I remember just going through bit by bit. I was like, all right. And even though it's effectively right, around this corner, there's going to be this big werewolf dude. Around that corner, there's another werewolf dude, but this time he's holding an axe. And it's like, right, okay. And then you start to get it. And eventually you put it to one side, but it was such a good aid to help you in that first run. And of course, I still didn't finish it with the guide. But then fast forward a few years later, I became hench and platinumed it, of course, Scott. But you're right. Like, they are, I think it's again something we always preach on the podcast, is just do what you want for yourself. Like, there's no right or wrong way. To kind of recap, or not, to kind of summarise everything that we've talked about there, I think for me it is like, I'm not going to change we're not going to change each other's mind. Like, you think games are too long. I don't think they're too long. I think that there needs to be a variety of games. And I do think that they play an important part of the gaming ecosystem in terms of the average punter, and particularly for parent gamers out there.
Yeah, 100%.
I think a good long game can be a blessing because I don't know what it is. It's just about instead of hopping in between loads of stuff, it's just I've got one game, one thing to just kind of focus on. But then again, there will also be those parents out there like yourself. It's like, fuck's sake, it's just too long.
Yeah.
But you're a man that enjoys a long game as well.
I do. I love a long game. So I don't really know what I'm saying, but this has been something that's been fucking bugging my ass forever. Like The Witcher 3, as much as I love that game and I love the world and everything around it, it is just hurry up.
I can't wait for later on this year when you fulfill that challenge.
I'll do it.
And you're coming in here with dyed long white hair and you've dyed your beard grey as well, and it's just like, what's up? And you're like, nothing,
mate.
It's cool. What's up with you?
Sitting here fucking tickling my Gwent cards in my pocket. That's the only reason I want to go back. It's for Gwent. Like,
the thing is though, like, those things are like I always view them as like a wee holiday.
Yeah,
you're away and you're exploring those lands and you have to immerse yourself in it, and it's something nice to think about when you are just having a shit day at work, or maybe the wee ones are just, getting on your tits. It's just kind of like, see, come, it's bedtime, I'm just going to go there and start slaying some monsters. It's cool. Yeah.
Triss is waiting for me.
That as well, I suppose. But yeah, there you go. I suppose we'll end it on saying, like, I would love to hear what the listeners think.
Yeah.
To you guys, are games too long? What's your thoughts on it? Do you think we need to make them shorter? Are they just right? Just let us know.
It's the Three Bears approach, man.
It's the Three Bears approach, indeed.
I'm Goldilocks, fucking snaffling all these long games.
Fucking stole my pockets.
You stole my fucking Dragon's Dogma.
Well, of course, I think we should then move on, Scott, before we start going down too many nursery rhymes, which of course means that it's time for the Pixel Picks Showdown, where each week we each pick a game from our chosen theme and decide which one deserves to live on in the hallowed Pixel Picks list, the definitive list of the best games we recommend to pass on to the next generation of gamers. Now, last week's theme was 3DS game with The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds becoming the latest addition to the list. And this week's showdown, we're going to be debating, believe it or not, what best 100+ hour game we think should feature on the Pixel Picks list. Now, as always, last week's winner goes last, but we don't know who won last week because we weren't paying attention. Scott, I'm just going to go out on a limb. Who do you remember won last week?
So I'm going to be honest, everyone here, I haven't planned any of this, so I'm going to let Gilliam go first because
okay.
I would be making it up on the spot.
Okay, well, luckily for you guys, I have planned.
Yes.
These listeners mean something to me. Yeah.
Now, can we please get a little bit of clarity on this? In that, is this a 100-hour game that is officially 100 hours, or is this an 100-hour game that we have put 100 hours into?
Both. I think it's right.
Because like if
it
is
for clarity,
Arkham Knight,
right.
Say you've played that game 70 times,
yeah,
then of course it's going to be 100 hours.
170 odd hours.
So, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just like
over a decade. I should add, just in case somebody thinks there's something wrong with me.
Just can't stop playing Arkham Knight.
Just love that terrible Batmobile. For me, I think the way I've approached it, and we probably should have did this before we picked the games, but the way I've approached it is a game that a common playthrough should take you 100+ hours.
So it's got a reputation for being long.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now,
all right. I know that feeling.
You could boom boom. Of course he's joking. No. I think we could also include within the parameters of that a platinum. So you mentioned Arkham Knight. You could pick that, because if you were to go platinum, it will take you about 100 hours. Maybe. Or maybe, I don't know. Dark Souls 3 or something like that.
Aye,
you know what
right,
I mean?
okay.
So,
Elden Ring.
Yeah. Which leads me to my honourable mention for this week's game. So this is actually a much harder one for me than I expected, because we have to go back through the Pixel Picks list to make sure we're not getting any doublers in there, which we run the risk of. So I couldn't pick The Last of Us. No. So I also had to think really hard about there's so many 100-hour games that I've played. I didn't want it to be too multiplayer specific. And the two ones I've picked, you could put a fag paper between them. That's how close they are. So for me, and I'm making this decision live, my honourable mention is going to be Elden Ring.
Okay.
I don't know if I made the right choice, but it's going to be Elden Ring. Because this is a game that I've beaten like 6 times, right?
Yeah.
But even at that, on one playthrough, you'll easily sink 100 hours into that on one completion. Let's not forget, people, those additional run-throughs, I know the game inside out. I am rocking the toenail, the big sword. I've got everything there, your hench. It's New Game Plus. There was one, I think I did one completion on that. I'm not joking, in like 4 hours or something like that. I absolutely blasted it. And it's because I buggered up my saves for the platinum. But one completion of this game, you're easily putting 100+ hours. Right? If you're playing this, right, it becomes your thing. And it's a complete masterpiece in challenging open world gameplay and design. It's an obsession. Like, you're thinking about the bosses, the areas, everything. Like, everything on your map you're marking out. You're wanting to get on through every nook and cranny. It's a way of life. It's rewarding, and it's an astounding accomplishment in video game design. Either
ridiculous
or co-op.
It's co-op, yeah. It's ridiculous how, a game that's been born of all the games in the Souls series, and Elden Ring is, the baby that's been made, and it's just so fucking good. Like, you're talking about, the traversal around the world, every single nook and cranny, finding all the caves and stuff like that. That doesn't even touch on things like, if you're playing PvP. Some people love PvP, playing the Colosseum. And then also just your builds. Like, some people go for a strength build to begin with, and then as soon as they start to understand how to do magic, do you know what, I'll respec and just go and try all that again. Like, it's just fanning about and finding your place in that world. It's so good.
It really is. Like, this could easily have been my pick.
Yeah.
Easly.
I'm actually surprised it's not on the list, to be honest with you.
It's because I've recently had a change of heart, but and there's good reason for it. But Elden Ring, maybe it might not be its time in the sun now. Might be a different category that we have to think about that. Who knows? It's genuinely goated though.
Yeah.
Like, is one of the greatest games of all time. I think if you haven't played it, do not be put off by the difficulty spike. It is rewarding. If it's something that you really struggle with, there's so many ways that it encourages you, and it's easier than others. It's still bloody hard at points. Like, you try and get past some of them sentinels, man. Good luck, but it's before you know it. And this is coming purely from somebody who was that person. I wasn't like Scott. I wasn't the person that was very, very comfortable and au fait with the From Software games, but that game made me into somebody that could not only beat it multiple times, platinum it, and then go on and platinum Bloodborne.
Hilarious.
It was one of the greatest rise to powers I've ever had in my gaming career to date. Honestly,
it really was a sight to behold watching, because you're not the Souls person at all, and you were never that. But your love for Elden Ring was like, it was, what's the word? It was like, what's the contagious? Like, I love Elden Ring, but I don't love it as much as I love other Souls games. But watching you just enjoy that world and experiencing it with you was fucking amazing. Like, it's so cool.
It was so much fun.
And I always hated the fact that we used to hit, because I love taking on these bosses by myself and like experiencing the pain that a Souls game brings. But we'd always help each other with the bosses, and always in my head I was a wee bit, you fucking bastard, I want to do this myself.
There was one part where I had a totally broken build though, and I was like tanking Malekith in 2 hits.
Killing them, it's so good.
But then I addressed that, and I got a much more standard build. I had to go back and finish it again last year before Shadow of the Erdtree.
Yeah.
Which I'm still astounded I managed to do. Not proud of it.
But with the perfumer builds.
Yeah, well, I had to actually restart a totally new build, because we realised quickly, while speaking about it in the very early episode, that we might have fudged it because you can't take the New Game Plus one. You had to beat up to a certain boss to get into it. So we had thought, bug it, might as well start again.
Yeah.
Because it would have been harder in New Game Plus. But anyway, I digress. I'll move on to my pick. And I think it's worthy because I really want to champion this game. I think over time, there's been so many people who might have forgotten its greatness. And when you resample its greatness again, it truly is. If there's a Mount Rushmore of games out there, right?
No. That's going to be a hard one then.
This deserves to be on it. It's the finest game.
Oh, I know what it is.
That the developer has made. And it's one that I had recently revisited.
Oh, no, I don't know then.
And it's Red Dead Redemption 2.
Is that not on the list already?
No.
Is it not?
No.
For Pete's sake.
I'm going to ask for clarity check. VAR,
I'll
come
have
in
a
there,
look.
please.
I'll have a look for you if you want to talk
Stop
about it
for
anyway.
a VAR check. If it is on the list, I'm only joking. I'm picking Elden Ring.
No, I don't think it is on the list.
Mine's is Elden Ring. Like, I've been on record recently discussing about this game. Right?
Yeah.
It's a masterpiece.
Mhm.
It deserves its place on that upper echelons of games out there. It surpasses the original, which is incredible.
Mhm.
It has no writing down. The game, what I think is so genius about it is the same reason why some people get put off it, in which I say, grow up. It's like it demands your attention for every second, which is such a rare thing in a game these days. I noted this in my replay. You can't play Red Dead Redemption 2 without taking your hands off the controller for a second. Whereas other games is all avowed right now. Dialogue scene, all of a sudden, my phone. It's like that Peter Griffin bit in Family Guy with the phone just appears in front of him, or the comic strip in the car. It's that second screen habit starts kicking into gear.
Yeah.
It's something. A snack could be anything else. Just like there's something else in my hand. I'm distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead Redemption 2. There's always something I need to press this to do that. There's the minutiae of playing that game, which I actually think I want to see that in GTA 6 because it totally commands all your agency and you're so immersed. But then add on top of that, right, this incredibly detailed world that you can spend 100 hours in, hunting, missions, you name it. The glorious graphics,
yes,
which are still goated. Gameplay being fantastic. But the story, that genuinely will sit with you forever afterwards. Like the tale of Arthur Morgan and what he goes through, how he develops as a character so subtly, it unfolds like a book.
Yeah,
it's so well written, and I think it is. It's touching, it's complex, it's Rockstar's finest hour for me. And all I will say is, even if it doesn't make the Pixel Picks list, miss that game at your peril.
Yes, 100%. I think that when they started showing off, original, the gameplay and stuff like that for it, and when it was announced, the fact that it wasn't John Marston, you were like, what? Like, who the fuck is Arthur Morgan? But then you can't imagine life without him. Like, when you're playing it, and like when you step away from that game, you cannot stop thinking about him. He is the best thing that Rockstar have ever made.
100%.
Like,
and
character-wise, it is phenomenal. Just
at first, I thought it was Dennis Quaid.
It's just incredible. Like, what an experience! And you're talking about even just from point A to point B in terms of the story. You're playing that for what, a good 30 hours, 40 hours, maybe.
Oh no, the story. 60
hours, right? But then you factor in all the daft wee things, like as you say, hunting. You can go and do fishing and stuff like that as well, which I'm a big fan of.
Very good.
And then you've just got all the wee bits around the camp, all the wee experiences with all the different campmates and stuff that you have. Side missions and stuff. Like, it is outrageous, that game. And it is, as you say, it's Rockstar's finest hour. It is just them completely flexing their muscle. I wish they would flex an up-to-date version of it, but can't ask for too much.
Flex it quicker.
Yeah, but it's a worthy addition to the list. And to be honest with you, thinking about my own choices, it would be hard to fight against it.
Look at that.
It's one that I hadn't come prepared for because I thought Red Dead Redemption 2 was on the list. I was going to pick Metal Gear Solid 4 just for the cutscenes, just for a laugh, because you're watching them for 100 hours. And if you want to do all the stuff in Metal Gear Solid, any Metal Gear Solid game, you're playing that for a long time, getting all the different big boss ranks and stuff like that. So you could do, but we're not going to go there.
He's about 5.
Talking about 4.
4, right, okay, yeah.
Fucking hell. The cutscenes in 5 are like 30 seconds long. Because
So
Kiefer Sutherland couldn't be asked.
No, he was charging too much.
It's Avi Arad, you bastard. What do you call it? But no, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a worthy winner. But my honourable mention, because I think in the whole kind of grand scheme of things, I think that Red Dead Redemption 2 deserves its place.
Yeah.
But my honourable mention for this week, and it's a game that, even just a whole series of games that every single one of them will probably take you over 100 hours to get completionist on, is the Yakuza series.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking Yakuza 0, Kiwami 2. I'm not sure about 3, 4, and 5 because I didn't touch them. 6, there's a baby in, scared of it. And then you've obviously got the Like a Dragon series as well. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. There's people, the scene from Interstellar where Matthew McConaughey is just crying at the TV. There's people listening to this podcast doing that because I'm not picking any of those games. And I would, but it's purely because I haven't played any of the Like a Dragon games for long enough to even think about them. And the only Yakuza game that I could reasonably say that I have enough experience with to put it on this list is 0.
Yeah.
Yakuza 0 is a fucking fantastic game. It's a game that I think that if you put your time and energy into, it gives you everything back in spades. It was the introduction to the Yakuza series that I needed because you've got the sort of genesis of Kiryu and Majima right there in front of your eyes, and you get to see how they become intertwined and how they become the way that they are, and it's fucking beautiful. It's a love story. I'm telling you, it's a love story.
That's awesome.
But it's full of just nonsense. Like stuff in that game, you could spend 100 hours just playing the Sega arcades, going playing Dead or Alive for a while. But then you've got all the daft wee mini games and stuff like that as well, like the car racing thing, like the Skeletrix around the tracks and stuff, and you've got the baseball batting cages and stuff like that as well. I'm pretty sure in that one there's also like a hostess girl mini game where you're basically managing this hostess club and you're having to put them certain clients and match them up correctly and stuff. You could sink 100 hours into that, nay bother.
Yeah.
It is a ridiculous achievement, and it is the reason why I've fallen in love with the Yakuza series. It's a series of games that I've got Like a Dragon sitting there staring me in the face. Like
Same.
I've got it there on my PlayStation 5 and I see Ichiban's face staring at me on that thing, and I'm like, not today, pal. I'm sorry, mate. But I'm telling you, I think 2026, I'm saying this now in fucking February, but 2026 is going to be the year of Yakuza because I think I'm going to bounce my way through that whole series again.
Oh man, that's a challenge.
Because I would love to do it.
All on Game Pass, I believe.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But it's just excellent, man. Like it deserves a place somewhere, and I'll find it in that place. But putting that up against, like, you get Juggernauts as well, like Final Fantasy, any Final Fantasy game. There's people who play Final Fantasy 14 that are shouting at me because they're like, "Why the fuck are you not talking about that?" Because I don't play it.
There's so many you could pick in this
There's a
one.
million of them, like, and you've just got 1,000 games that you could genuinely think of. But I think that you hit the nail on the head with Red Dead Redemption, in that you're in that saddle for 100 hours plus, and you know your arse isn't getting sore sitting in it because you're loving every single fucking bump in that road.
Yeah,
you are living, breathing the cowboy dream, and Arthur Morgan is the tonic the whole way through it. That if it was any other character, you'd be like, oh fucking hell, this is annoying. But just the way that Arthur experiences that world and you get to experience it along with him, it's like this shouldn't work as well as it has done. But it's just a total achievement. Like, and it kind of feels that it doesn't get. This is going to seem like a strange point to make, but it doesn't feel like it gets enough plaudits.
Yeah, but then you're right. It's weird for a game that was universally acclaimed across the board. All I hear when people talk about it in certain podcasts is, "Oh, I didn't like how slow it was." And it's like, oh, shut up.
I'm telling you, there's a video game donkey episode where he talks about the slickness of Red Dead Redemption, and see if you haven't played it and you're thinking about playing it, watch that.
Yeah,
and even just watch it like tonight. Go and watch it now, and I'm telling you, it'll make you want to play that game more than any other game that you've ever experienced. You could go and watch that now, and you would go back and play it again.
Like I was tempted recently to like just go back and do side missions again, but
disgusting. Just the daft wee things, and the way he plays games are so weird.
Yeah.
But he gets to experience all these daft wee things and just experiences them so differently than anyone else. And I think that that's the beauty of Rockstar, is that what I'm learning through my whole playthrough of the Rockstar series is that you can tackle this any way you want, basically. It's a big sandbox and you can do what you want. I used to always think it was, one straight line, whereas these games are interweaving and you're constantly on kind of different paths. So it's so cool. But Red Dead Redemption 2, is the over 100 hour game on this list.
Yeah, well done to that. And who knows? Look forward to what they serve up next, that's for sure. Because it's coming off good for them. But yeah, Red Dead Redemption 2, you are the latest addition to the Pixel Picks list. So, of course, that brings us to the end of this week's podcast. So, thank you once again for joining us. And if you like what you hear and enjoy the show, leave us a wee 5-star review. That helps us out, makes a massive difference as well. Scott, test time, where can people find and engage with you online if they choose to?
We can get engaged on Blue Sky at llamaman.bsky.social. I'm on there fucking tearing shit. I've kind of fallen off a wee bit. I don't really post as much as I usually do. Social medias have become a commodity, not a necessity anymore.
Yeah. I posted something about it, which you can follow me at carmelite.bsky.social. I posted something about like the kind of, I'm derailing my exit part here, but
I didn't see it right, but I will read it. But what I'm getting from Blue Sky at the moment is that when we all first went to Blue Sky, it was all, oh, this is amazing. Like, let's all just be kind and positive with each other. Whereas it doesn't seem to exist anymore. Like, it just kind of feels forced in a way.
It does. It's starting to feel forced.
It feels a wee bit like
the world's getting in the way of it.
Yeah, we've all come over from Twitter and just want to be like, let's all just pretend that we're fucking sound and everything's happy and cool. Like, we're all indoctrinated by Blue Sky now. But
there was somebody that I did, former mutuals on Twitter, and he lives in that bubble, I suppose. But it's like, I would say it borders the toxic positivity slightly. And I love going on Blue Sky and just seeing that kind of engagement happening.
Yeah.
And there's no trolls, there's no Nazis, it's great. But then if someone's making an astute point about something that's happening in this era of the geopolitical space that we're in just now, it almost feels like I always see it followed up by, sorry, I'll get back to games.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. Aye. And I found myself do it because it's like, don't punish me, don't unfollow me, stay here, it's all cool. Games,
true, aye, that is true.
And I don't know, it's a very weird behaviour because that is that's definitely symptomatic of something which is toxic positive. So we just need to think about that a little bit.
You all think about this. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about anything. I'm completely hollow in my brain. Skull.
Well, of course then. Whilst he's doing that thinking, a massive thank you to our producer and music man, the talented and handsome Mr. Sean Murray.
What a man.
By the way,
what a mighty good
he's
man.
Going to be jumping for joy. This is the most chaotic ending to a podcast ever, so let's just embrace
March coming, fucking
Tony
Hawk's
3 and 4. So maybe by the next episode that's confirmed. Who knows? Let's keep our fingers crossed. And of course, you can listen to that next episode on all major podcast platforms and follow us on Blue Sky at pixelparents.bsky.social. And if you wish to as well, write to us at pixelparentspodcast@gmail.com. But until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and thanks for listening.
Play Alan Wake 2? I can't think of something.